What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your second stimulus check update. And what a last 48 hours it has been. It's just been crazy, everything that's going on. We have some breaking new information from Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats, and when we should expect the next stimulus package with the next stimulus check and an unemployment extension update. And I have another state that is passing rental assistance to the tune of thousands of dollars per person at the end of this video. I got all the details for you in this video, so make sure to watch to the end so you don't miss out. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on future updates as they're looking to pass the next stimulus package within the next 8 days. Don't forget to like this video too. It really helps out our channel. Okay. First of all, what we're going to be talking about in this video, the breaking new information from Nancy Pelosi, but then we're really going to talk about what happens after this, because this is really the most important part. You kind of have to understand Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell to figure out what is actually going to happen. I'm going to break that down for you. And if you've been watching this channel for a long time, you'll know that pretty much everything I'm going to say about both of these guys makes perfect sense. But first, let me show you what Nancy Pelosi is just saying right now regarding the next stimulus package. First up, Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. Nancy Pelosi, as you know, is the House Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, sent out a joint statement on the need for the next stimulus package and the negotiations. She says, quote, "The American people are currently living through the worst stretch of this pandemic. The United States is averaging over 1 million new cases per week. 20% of all patients now hospitalized in the United States have the virus, and the national death toll stands at a very sad 270,000 American people. Many family budgets and small businesses are at their breaking point. Families all across the country are experiencing the unthinkable, unbearable losses of their loved ones, and many are falling into financial ruin because of the economic fallout of the pandemic. Economists are warning the U.S. economy will fall into a double-dip recession without additional federal relief from Congress, aka stimulus. While we made a new offer to Leader McConnell and Leader McCarthy on Monday, in the spirit of compromise, we believe the bipartisan framework introduced by the senators yesterday should be used as the basis, basically the starting point, for immediate bipartisan, bicameral negotiations. So the two main things here are that the package yesterday from the senators should be used as the starting point for negotiations. She says, of course, we and others will offer improvements, aka negotiating up, but the need to act is immediate, and we believe that with good faith negotiations, we could come to an agreement. Now, remember, they're trying to do this within the next 8 days because Mitch McConnell said the next stimulus package will be added onto a government shutdown bill, which the government will shut down on December 11th. So they need to do this by the 10th to add that onto the government shutdown bill, like Mitch McConnell said. With the imminent availability of the vaccine, it is important for there to be additional funding for distribution to take the vaccine to vaccination. The distribution effort will be led by the states, further increasing the need for funding for state and local governments. In light of the urgency of meeting the needs of the American people and the hope that the vaccine presents, it's time for Leader McConnell to sit down with the Democrats to finally begin a true bipartisan effort to meet the needs of this country. Okay, so now we're going to talk about pretty much the most important part of this, and that is understanding Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell. So the way Mitch McConnell works is he's kind of like a pass it or not type of guy. Okay, if you notice, he's not involved in the negotiations. He's basically like, we'll either put the bill on the floor or we'll ignore it and not even put it on the floor if it's not up to our standards. He even said in a recent interview that I played for you guys in the last day or two, he's not the type of guy to sit there and negotiate back and forth for months. That he ain't nobody got time for that. And I mean, ain't nobody got time for that. He is right in that regard. So that's how Mitch McConnell is. He's basically like, it's either up to what we're willing to do, or if it's not, we're going to ignore it. Okay. Nancy Pelosi considers herself a master negotiator. She even says in the past she enjoys negotiating, she enjoys legislating. She considers it one of her like favorite things to do. So here's the way how Nancy works. Nancy's like, if you give her a $1 trillion package, she's going to say, "Great, that's a great starting point. Let's let's improve it to 1.3 or 1.2 or 1.4 trillion dollars." Okay. And really, if you know Nancy Pelosi, like we've come to know her over these last few months, anybody that knows her would know she was going to do this. So, for example, the amount of money. So, first of all, I think there's three things that Nancy Pelosi is going to negotiate on. So, with that bipartisan bill, these three things, I wouldn't be surprised if all three of these are in here because I just know Nancy Pelosi. I know where her priorities are, and I know exactly what she's going to do. Number one is stimulus checks. I don't see any way that Nancy Pelosi is going to pass a bill with Democratic support, which they need, without a stimulus check of at least $1,200 and stimulus checks for dependents. Now, remember, this bipartisan group was mostly Republican that did this. And they know that no matter what they give Nancy Pelosi to start with, she's going to be like, that's a great starting point. Let's negotiate it up. Okay. They know that Nancy Pelosi is going to do this. So it's quite possible that they started on the low end, all three of these things, the stimulus checks, the unemployment, and the state and city government funding. They started all of them on the low end because they know that Nancy Pelosi is going to negotiate up. For example, if they gave her $1,200 checks, then she'd be like, well, what about something else? What about something else? If they gave her $500 billion for states and cities, she'd be like, well, we need $700 billion. So those are the three things that I expect her to negotiate on. Stimulus checks in the package, that's a no-brainer. An increase on the unemployment in this bill is $300 per week of unemployment extension bonus money for anybody that's unextended, and it was only retroactive back to December 1st. I expect that Nancy Pelosi could negotiate on one or both of those things where she might want more retroactive pay. So she might want it to go back to, say, September 1st or October 1st or November 1st. Okay, so she might want more retroactive pay for unemployed people. And if you've come off unemployment now, you would be able to get some of that retroactive pay until your benefits ran out. The other thing is she might negotiate on the unemployment amount. Okay, remember the $300 per week is mostly a Republican thing that we have seen. Okay, we've seen $300 from Mitch McConnell in the past. So I expect her to negotiate on that too. I think it would be a easy win for her to negotiate that to $400 per week. I don't think that the Republicans are going to balk at her going from $300 to $400 per week. Okay. The other thing I expect her to negotiate on, and if you've been watching Nancy Pelosi, you know that this is for sure the thing, is money for states and local government, states and cities. Okay. Because Nancy Pelosi, that's just been one of her highest priority. And I expect her to probably add an extra $100 billion to that. And then I feel like Nancy Pelosi will say, if she gets those three things, which I really don't think those three things are unreasonable, as long as she doesn't say, I want $500 billion more for states and cities, which I don't expect her to do, because we've been hearing from the Democrats and even Joe Biden saying, take a deal now and we'll pass another deal at the end of January when the new administration comes in and the new Congress comes in. So they're really just trying to get a deal done now, get some money out to the people before Christmas, and then pass another package at the end of January. In addition to that, we've seen support for stimulus checks here within the last week, two different times from the White House team. We had Larry Kudlow today, and last week we had the White House trade advisor, both saying exact words that they need stimulus checks for the people to go out before the end of the year. So the White House supports stimulus checks. It's just very likely that this bipartisan group, which again is mostly leaning Republican, they know that Nancy Pelosi is going to negotiate. Now, you wouldn't say that about Mitch McConnell. You wouldn't go to Mitch McConnell with a plan and expect him to negotiate up. He's kind of like a, I agree with the plan, or I'm going to laugh at you because your plan is garbage type of thing. So For example, when the Democrats passed the HEROES Act in the past, it was all Democrat. It was just an all Democrat wish list. It was $2 to $3 trillion. And basically, Mitch McConnell laughed at it and didn't even put it on the floor because it wasn't realistic. Okay, now that we have this realistic plan from bipartisan group from the senators, which Mitch McConnell initially said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to go with our own plan. But now that the Democrats are adopting that plan and they say, hey, we're going to take that and we're going to improve it a little bit. Again, that plan's only $900 billion. So there's a very real possibility that that is the plan, that everything is going to come together here within the next 8 days. It's going to have stimulus checks, an unemployment extension, and money for states and cities. And remember that money for states and cities comes back around to the people in the form of mortgage and rental assistance. Of course, not all of it, but there's a certain percentage of that money that's going back to the people in the form of stimulus checks from local states and cities, which we're seeing, and mortgage and rental assistance, which we're also seeing from all sorts of different states and cities. In fact, I will have another state that's passing that for you here in just a minute. Also, you kind of have to wonder if Nancy Pelosi, having turned down that $1.9 trillion offer from the White House for a stimulus package, which had everything under the sun in it, but Nancy Pelosi turned it down because it was, in front of the election, and she didn't want a check to go out with Donald Trump's name on it before the election to help him out. And now that Trump has lost the election, if you believe that, then now they're working on a $900 billion package. Of course, she's going to negotiate it up, but even if she negotiates it up from from 0.9 to 1.4, she still lost $500 billion in aid that was on the table that she could have taken, but she didn't want to pass it before the election because she didn't want Trump to win. So you kind of have to wonder, like, does Nancy Pelosi feel like she won because Trump didn't win, but now she's going to lose all this money in the stimulus package that she could have had? She could have had a $1.9 trillion deal. And honestly, we only needed 15 Republican senators to pass it. And I remember that wasn't that long ago, it was about a month ago, that all the different Republican senators that were in support for it, and honestly, they had more than 15 Republican senators that would have said yes because President Trump would have endorsed it. So Nancy Pelosi kind of missed out on an opportunity, but she didn't want Trump to win. So you can let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Okay, next up, let's talk about another state that is bringing you mortgage and rental relief. I'm bringing you these guys in almost every single video, at least every single day, states, cities, and counties that are passing stimulus money to you guys right now. And this one actually comes from a fellow viewer, a fellow subscriber. As you can see here, our comment from Victoria Dion, thank you so much for telling our viewers about this, says, "Hi Jimmy, I'm here in Connecticut and I was approved for rental assistance. They paid my landlord $4,000 yesterday, which is a huge relief and blessing. That's why when I tell you guys about these states and local cities and counties that are passing these mortgage and rental relief, $4,000 is no joke. That's more than the stimulus checks, okay? That's why you guys got to pay attention to these state and local cities because they're huge. Okay, she says the program is called the State of Connecticut Temporary Housing Assistance Program, parentheses TRHAP. Their website is, and basically just Google TRHAP and you'll bring it up. She says there is also a program called Modest Needs Foundation that is willing to pay 3 of your bills or a total of $1,500 towards bills. So that's called the Modest Needs Foundation. So again, between these two of them, there's $5,500 in stimulus for residents from Connecticut. Remember, you Google TRHAP, and this is the website for the Connecticut Temporarily Stimulus Rental Assistance. So I will be keeping you guys updated with more states and cities and counties that are passing rent assistance just like this. Literally, one of these packages could mean $5,000 in your pocket. We've had thousands of people that we've helped already because, we get like 300,000 views a day. So, I mean, I don't even know how many people we've helped, but there's a lot of comments like that. If you know any other states, cities, or programs that are helping people, comment them down below. And if you guys see a comment that is for that, make sure to give it a thumbs up so it rises to the top of the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and share this video so others like you will be aware of these stimulus programs and not miss out. You can click this top video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video teaches you how to start your own business selling products on Amazon FBA. I have dozens of students that have replaced their entire 9-to-5 income by selling products on Amazon from their house, and I teach them how to do that. Click on one of those videos to watch them next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.